What an awesome day we've had. We started out through fire, through knowing the season that we're in, and that we're walking in light, to knowing that our money is the Lord's, to then transitioning into getting our wicks trimmed. So I'm just going to continue the theme with the trimming of the wick. And today's message title is this: Embracing Correction, Receiving the Love of the Father. Embracing correction, receiving the love of the Father. And that involves trimming the wick, removing some things in our life to allow our fire, our light, to shine even brighter. Awesome message, Minister Riley. Awesome. So in our daily walk with God, whether it be through Him personally, our communication with Him, or our relationship with our leadership, how do we respond when we get corrected? Here's some choices we have to make at that point. Do we get angry? Do we stop coming to church or talking with leadership because you're angry at them? Do you get frustrated with them and immediately think, well, why are they always picking on me? Or they really don't like me. That's why they're always telling me I'm doing something wrong. Or do you embrace the correction and say, thank you for loving me enough to deliver me from my own intentions so I don't miss the mark? See, godly love corrects so we don't miss the mark of His word. God's heart doesn't want us to miss the mark, which is why He sent His Son Jesus to die for us, to make a payment for when we do miss the mark. Jesus conquered death and is now sitting at the right hand of the Father. See, godly correction exposes areas in our life where we think we have it right, but are incorrect. Or areas in our heart where we have some truth mixed in with some incorrect doctrine. Well, when we have that stuff in our life, well, that's bad oil. It's bad oil. You know, I was thinking as Minister Riley was preaching, you know, in the natural, we should be changing our oil in our vehicles every 3,000 to 5,000 miles. If you're driving a Mercedes, well, then it's every 10,000 miles. But we need an oil change. So do we ignore the instructions of the natural and keep driving on the same oil? Well, if we do and don't change our oil, well, we're going to cause motor damage. Well, that's the same with correction. Correction is there to change our oil. So, you ready for a self-examination test on how you receive correction? Thank you for saying yes. So Proverbs 15:10 says this: correction is grievous unto him that forsaketh the way, and he that hateth reproof shall die. If that's you, now is the time to say, God, I am going to embrace your correction. I'm going to embrace it. Don't hate correction, because you shall die. And I wanted to lay out kind of some different meanings here, but the word die I thought was powerful. And in Hebrew, it is muth. And it means this: To die prematurely by neglect of wise moral conduct. To die prematurely by neglect of wise moral conduct. So if we don't heed the correction from leadership or from God the Father, then we hate the correction, we're going to put it on the back burner, and we are going to die prematurely. How many wants to die prematurely? Anybody online? In the house? I didn't think so. I didn't think so. So we need to embrace this. Well, how do we embrace correction? Well, are you profiting from it? Are you profiting from the correction that you're receiving from God and from leadership? Turn with me to 2 Timothy 3:16 through 17. And why do we get corrected when we read the Word? Or we hear the ministers preach and we feel this, oh, I got to change some things. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Because if somebody's telling you all the time that you're okay, that should be a red flag to you that you're not okay. Because we can always go higher. We can always get our oil changed. Always. So 2 Timothy 3:16 through 17 says this: all Scripture is given by inspiration of God and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, that the man of God may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto all good works. See, when we get corrected, it is so that we can become perfect, thoroughly furnished unto all good works. See, each and every one of us has works that God has given to us in order for us to accomplish here on earth, for His glory, for His purpose. If we don't embrace the correction and ignore it, we're not going to be thoroughly furnished to do the works that God told us to do. We will be like the 5 foolish virgins and say, well, I done blah, 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 blah. And God's like, I never knew you. You following me? Good. So how do we embrace the benefits of the love of the Father? Well, we're going to turn to Proverbs 3:11 through 17. There are benefits of being corrected. In Proverbs 3:11 it says this: my son, despise not the chastening of the Lord, neither be weary of His correction. For whom the Lord loves, He corrects. So when God corrects you, it's because He loves you, not because He hates you. He corrects you because He loves you. My parents corrected me when I was acting like a banshee because they loved me, because they realized if I did what I was planning on doing, I would hurt myself and hurt others. Well, I have a bishop here at BAM who's loving me enough to correct me so I don't hurt myself or hurt others. It's the same with God. And continuing verse 12, even as of the Father, the Son, in whom He delights. Now watch this. Happy is the man that finds wisdom and the man that gets understanding. When we get corrected, we should be receiving wisdom and we should be receiving understanding. That's a benefit. That's a benefit of being corrected. that we get the wisdom that our thinking that what we were going to do was right was wrong, and now we have wisdom to not do what we were going to do again. And we now know the solution to do it right. Verse 14, for the merchandise of it is better than the merchandise of silver, and the gain thereof than fine gold. She is more precious than rubies, and all the things thou canst desire are not to be compared unto her. So the benefits of being corrected are worth more than fine gold and silver. Is that powerful or what? So if you're not embracing this correction, you're throwing away merchandise that is much more valuable than gold and silver. Correction means God and leadership loves you. I want you to hear that. Correction means God and leadership loves you. And it's going to produce something in your life for others to eat from. Turn with me in Hebrews 12, 5 through 11. And it says this, and ye have forgotten the exhortation which speaketh unto you as unto children. Here's this verse again. My son, despise not thou the chastening of the Lord, nor faint when thou art rebuked of him. Don't faint. Don't get mad. Don't cave in and quit. For whom the Lord loveth, he chastens, and scourges every son whom he receives. That means when God's correcting you, he's received you as a son. You're not an illegitimate bastard. You are a son, a daughter. Verse 7, if you endure chastening, God dealeth with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the Father chastens not? But if you be without chastisement, whereof all are partakers, then you are bastards and not sons. We've had, fleshly fathers in 9 and 10 that has disciplined us in the past according to their own doings, their own evil motives. But God's motives are pure. He corrects us to produce something in our lives, to save us from ourselves. Leadership does the same thing. Verse 11. Let me back up to verse 10. For they verily for a few days chastened us after their own pleasure, speaking of the natural father. But he for our profit, that we might be partakers of his holiness. See, when God corrects us, he wants us to be partakers of his holiness. Verse 11. Now no chastening for the present seems to be joyous, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterward it yields the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby. Are you embracing the correction because you know the ultimate goal is to produce fruit of righteousness in our lives? If you are not, and you really don't like being corrected, then I challenge you to look within yourself and get an oil change, because now it's a heart condition. It's an oil condition. And that oil is just going to come out in your light. So if that's you today, just take a moment and ask God to forgive you. And just say, Father, in the name of Jesus, I am going to embrace your correction. I call you blessed today. In Jesus' name.